You are listening to the 501stCast, the official podcast of the 501st Legion. Stay tuned to global news from the front lines of the Empire as the men and women of Vader's Fist celebrate decades of promoting Star Wars, honing the art of costumes and props, and contributing to the community through charity and volunteer work.
Give me regular reports, please. Right.
And here are your hosts. Take it away, troopers.
Copy that.
Welcome to the 501st Cast, the official 501st podcast of the 501st Legion, Vader's Fist. Here are your hosts, myself, Mike Hinton, TK5351 from Garrison, Carida, with
Chris Nitro, TR82065 from the Northeast Remnant Garrison.
Mikey Bouchereau, TB60614 from the Bluegrass Garrison.
Matt Schraeder, TB99920 from Starkiller Garrison.
And I'm Anthony AP Pizzuto, SL22381 from the Northeast Remnant Garrison. And folks, we have a fresh report from the Imperial Security Bureau confirming that as of March 22nd, 2026, the Legion boasts 12,924 active troopers and 33,946 approved costumes across the galaxy, leading the ranks. Yes, you guessed it. There's no surprise here. TIE fighter pilots, stormtroopers, and Imperial officers, proving once again that whether it's boots on the ground or fighters in the sky, the Empire remains fully staffed, sharply dressed, and always mission ready.
This is Imperial Officer ID 67450 from the Northeast Remnant Garrison, and you're listening to the 501st Cast.
All right, well, thanks for that bumper. We're here with recent news. The 501st Legion now has an official Discord. The Discord server will be hosting and supporting by the Legion's PR team in similar manner as the existing Facebook groups such as the 501st Updates and the Pro-Only Departments of Propaganda. Discord support requests should go to pro at 501st.com. It does not mean that it will replace the official platforms, but merely another avenue to increase notifications and information about official topics by linking to the 501st forum, while also providing new social channels open to all members globally. This includes the forum to live translation, accessible via special emoji reactions and app functions into 40 plus languages. Instructions for major items will be available in the top 5 languages and can be additionally translated as necessary. The server will also support additional communications for those either not on or who do not want to be on Facebook groups such as the 501st Updates. There'll be a link in the show notes to where you can read the topics in the forum. We also kicked off March with a fresh update to the public-facing website, and it's looking fantastic. If you happen to spot any bugs or anything acting a little not quite up to Imperial standards, go to the forums and ask for help there. The public site refresh, post errors here, and drop the findings there. Nitro, that is all. What do we have for new CRLs?
This month we only have one new CRL, and that's the Cal Kestis Inquisitor costume from the video game. It's based on the video game Jedi Fallen Order, right? During the game, Cal experiences a force-induced vision and faces a deep fear of his, similar to what's his name, Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker, and Rey, right, when they go into their force visions and they face their fears. So in this vision, Cal falls to the dark side and becomes an Inquisitor, right? The people that are chasing him through the entire games. Head on over to the CRL database or the flagship Eclipse detachment for more information.
Trooper of the month.
All right, Trooper of the Month this month is Scott Moss, TK62000 from Bloodfin Garrison. Scott Moss, who is the XO of Bloodfin Garrison, recently completed his 501st troop with the 501st Legion since joining in January of 2017. Here are the words of Alex Moss, TX13622, and Josh Cunningham, SL81516, who nominated Scott. Alex wrote, "Throughout his time in the Legion, Scott has consistently embodied the values that define our membership. His armor has been present at countless charity events where he has helped raise awareness and support for meaningful causes. He has brought comfort and joy to families during hospital troops, offering moments of light during some of their most difficult days. His participation in cancer walks has demonstrated solidarity and those fighting life-altering battles, and his involvement in Make-A-Wish events has helped create unforgettable memories for children and families who need them the most. Scott's dedication goes far beyond showing up. He brings heart, professionalism, and genuine care to every troop. His presence uplifts others, strengthens our mission, and represents the very best of what the 501st Legion strives to be. For his remarkable service record, his compassion in action, and his steadfast commitment to using the power of fandom for good, I proudly nominate Scott Moss, TK62000, for February's Trooper of the Month. And then Josh additionally adds, on top of such a monumental troop number, he was instrumental in organizing a Make-A-Wish surprise for a young girl in our area, whom is still all smiles to this day after her big surprise, after meeting one of her favorite characters in Darth Vader. Savannah was surprised with her very own costume to wear at Disney. If there is an event, Scott is probably there. If there is a special event for a young kiddo, he's definitely there. If there is a member in need, Scott is there as well. Scott has been and continues to be the epitome of what it means to be a member of the 501st Legion. I will wrap this up with Scott's own words he posted after meeting Savannah last month, as I cannot possibly put this any better than he has. Being part of our local 501st unit in the 501st Legion has been one of the most rewarding experiences of my life. We all join because we love Star Wars. We build the armor, we perfect the details, we step into these iconic characters because they mean something to us. But what truly makes the 501st special isn't just the screen-accurate costumes, it's the heart behind the helmets. Our troops represent the very best of what the Legion stands for: charity, service, and camaraderie. Every troop we attend isn't just an appearance, it's an opportunity. Whether we're visiting children in hospitals, raising funds for local charities, supporting community events, or bringing smiles to families who need it the most. We're there to make a difference. Seeing a child light up when a stormtrooper walks into the room, hearing a parent say that moment made their day, those are the memories that stay with you. That's what the 501st truly is about. And what makes our troops extra special is how deeply we embrace that mission. We don't just wear the armor, we carry the responsibility that comes with it. We show up early, we stay late, we lift each other up. We support our community and each other with the same dedication we put into our builds. And the camaraderie, it's the glue that holds it all together. Behind every helmet is a friend, a teammate, a fellow volunteer who gives their time selflessly. We laugh together, sweat through long troops together, help each other with repairs, and celebrate milestones as a family. The bonds formed within the 501st go far beyond events. They turn into lifelong friendships. The 501st Legion's motto is "Bad Guys Doing Good," and our garrison lives that every single day. We are proud to serve. We are proud to troop.
Trooper of the Month interview.
All right. Hello, everyone. This is our interview from the 501st cast with Scott Moss, Trooper of the Month. So I'm going to ask Scott some questions, and Scott will probably have better answers than my questions. So, Scott, before we begin, congratulations on Trooper of the Month.
I appreciate it.
And secondly, before you start about the Trooper of the Month, before we were recording, you were telling me about some costumes. So tell us about some of the costumes you have built while in the 501st.
Well, I started off with the traditional TK, Vader's Fist. So the TK has always been something that I always wanted to be a part of. Of course, didn't know it was TK back then. It was just a stormtrooper, right? So I wanted to be a stormtrooper. I got it, joined in the Legion, and then the itch happened. So my next costume was Dengar. Dengar's been sold and helped pay for Vader. So I've got a Vader. I got a Darth Revan because I wanted to carry around lightsabers for events that we weren't allowed to have sabers. So I ended up getting a Revan because it was an easier and cheaper Sith Lord than Darth Vader, because Darth Vader is expensive, as we all know.
Yes.
I've got a TIE pilot that I've got together with that me and my oldest son both got at the same time. So my oldest son is also in this. My youngest son did it for like a year and then found other interest. So it was fun trooping with both of my kids at the same time. I've got a Jawa, just recently did a Jawa, so it's dual Legion approved with the Rebel Legion and the 501st. And the love for that costume from fans is a lot more than I expected it to be.
Oh, yes.
I just expected that to be just a quick throw-on costume for those things where you're going to come straight from work and be really like almost late to be in there, to something that's kind of a favorite now because the kids and everybody love it so much, and it kind of surprised me, to be honest.
Yeah, well, yeah. My daughters started with Jawas, so I understand the Jawa love.
Yeah, and like I said, it really just kind of amazed me. Like we just did a Saturday night, we did a Down syndrome event, and there were 3 of us as Jawas, and the kids enjoyed it. I was handing out bubble wands out of my bag. The other Jawa was handing out glow bracelets. They were just eating it all up.
Yeah, TKs, we don't know what pockets are, so
no, or how to sit down.
Right. So you're in the Bloodfin?
Yes, Bloodfin Garrison.
Bloodfin Garrison, which is what's the where is the Bloodfin for those that are just listening that are new to listening to the 501st cast? What's the Bloodfin? What's the geography of where's that located?
Bloodfin Garrison is the bottom 2/3 of the state of Indiana. We share Indiana with the Northern Darkness Garrison. We're the bottom 2/3.
Okay. Now, so let's get to your Trooper of the Month. The person who nominated you. What's your relationship with your person? One of the people that nominated you, which I thought it almost brought me to tears when I saw it.
Yes, one was my son and one was my commanding officer.
Yeah, and were you surprised? Did you know it was in the works, or?
Well, unfortunately, yes, I did know it was in the works because they don't try to surprise me because I'm not one of those people. They figured if they tried to surprise me that I would purposely throw a monkey wrench in it.
Oh, okay. Well, that's understandable. Well, and so,
and plus being XO in second seat, I got to see and vote anyways.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, that's good. Well, so I am sure that when you joined, you never wanted to. Most people that I've met, especially the people that have been nominated Trooper of the Month, are usually real selfless people that I'm sure you never meant to get all these accolades. But can you tell us some troops that you're proud of, like of what you've done?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, you don't want the accolades. What I want is the accolades that I want is going to that Make-A-Wish thing where a parent says, "Hey, my kid got to be a kid today and I got to be a parent." We did a Make-A-Wish back in February where I got a message from the lady on Facebook that said, "I can count a handful of times that my child got to be a kid, and that was one of them. And I cannot thank you enough for it." That is what we do this for. That is the accolades that I want to hear. I want to hear it from the people that we go to. I want to hear it when I go to the children's hospitals that we go to, that the parents and the kids get to smile and laugh and forget about their problems. And then obviously, we get to do the guilty stuff. I call it guilty pleasures, the conventions. But at least when we're doing the conventions, we're gathering money for Riley's Children's Hospital or some charity. So we are making good out of it, but I still call it a selfish troop because it's really not.
Yeah, I understand that. But I do think especially for people like you that do all those troops, sometimes you need those troops to recharge a little bit, because it can be taxing on you. I mean, I know it's nothing like what the people are suffering and stuff like that. But under the helmets, many of us have shed tears while we do those events, and it is nice to recharge a little bit.
Oh yes, it is. It's always nice to have that helmet on too. You going into an event or a thing. We used to do a troop here every year where we had a nurses appreciation troop.
Oh, okay.
where we went to the IU and Eskenazi hospitals and did station to station. We would go to each station of the nurses' stations, and if they had patients that were fans, we would go in there. And I remember probably the first time I ever shed tears underneath my TK helmet was an event. That event, they brought us into a room of this gentleman who was in his twilight,
Right.
and he had some Star Wars stuff around his thing. He lit up, and they told us about how he first time he smiled in like months, and just that there for some reason brought tears to me. And it's like, I'm not supposed to cry. I'm a dude, right? No, but so yeah. And then always just seeing the kids at the hospitals and sometimes with them carrying around their IVs and all the wires that are attached to them. It's like, why is life unfair for them?
Right. Well, it is good that we have troopers like you. I mean, there are many, but I am sure you are beyond well deserving this because you have so many people in your, like when Mikey was talking about you, he was talking about the wonderful things. I read all the stuff that people put up about your troop, and I think that's the essence of the 501st, at least what we want it to be. I'm sure, in every corner it's not that way, but I'm proud to just be able to interview you. So I'm
just another trooper, just like you, my friend. We do this to put smiles on people's faces, to alleviate the pain and suffering that someone might feel, to bring a brief smile to a face, to let them forget about their problems, to let them know that the galaxy far, far away does exist.
Yes. Now, we know all the wonderful things you do and so can you give us at the other end, can you give us like just one of the most lighthearted times possibly you had trooping, like of all you've been trooping since 2017, which is long, do you have a moment that besides all those important moments of helping people, is there a lighthearted moment that just makes you chuckle sometimes when you're trooping, when you're thinking about it?
Bounty hunting at conventions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, I spend conventions hunting people, and the banter and the exchange that we have with people as we're walking them in, because it's always, we hear when we do bounty hunters, we have the bell of shame.
Oh, okay.
So when we catch you, we do the Game of Thrones shame, and by the end of the convention, we have everybody, all the vendors and everybody yelling with us as we're walking the person to the detention center. That's always kind of lighthearted and fun to get the participation from all the vendors and all the con goers towards the end of the con joining in with us, and that's always lighthearted. I've had lighthearted moments like at probably one that's kind of sticks out to me right now is I did one of the cancer walks, and I was in my TK, and I was talking to one of the ladies that was a survivor, and she was talking about how she says, I finally got my hair to grow back. And I said, well, what's your secret? Because I need mine to grow back. And then she laughed and gave me a big hug. I mean, just moments like that. That's always that, or the kid that is scared to death of you in costume at the beginning of the event, and then at the end of the event, they won't leave you alone because they keep hugging you and wanting to hold your hand. And those are always those good moments too.
Yeah, I've had those. The funniest thing for me, and you've probably had this happen before, people will throw their children at you while you're in costume, and then when you forget when you're walking out, those same kids, they have no clue who you are. You almost want to say hi to them.
Right. And you got to stop because it's like, okay, who's this creepy dude with a long goatee?
Now so I was thinking about that with your TK. Does your facial hair ever give you problems in your different buckets?
Yeah, but I always wear the balaclava, so it pretty much takes it down.
Yeah, I was more of wondering just like a comfort thing, because like I know sometimes even if I don't shave a day or two, it can wind up just scratching me when I'm wearing it. I was just curious how that plays out for our.
No, not really. I mean,
That's cool.
it's just one of those things that I'm used to it. I mean, the thing that gives me the most is, I mean, you see that there I got to kind of fold up and put under that thing. It puts like the ponytail gets like right there on the back of the head, and so the inside of the helmet kind of puts there and puts like a little pressure there, and it kind of gives me a headache. That's probably the
Yeah.
most. But meh, it's a price you pay. It looks good whenever I do my Dark Empire bounty hunter with the long hair. So
There you go. There you go. Yeah. So I mean, do you have any events coming up that like maybe some of the troopers want to meet you? If you have anything you're trooping next that.
Well, I'm still on the fence about maybe heading down to Lexington Con next weekend. And then I'll be able to see Mickey and all them guys down there. But if not, I do have a troop in Plainfield, Indiana, that if I don't go there, I'll go to that. It's a little Easter scramble where we do Easter eggs for the kids at the in Plainfield at the park. And then after that we got, I could tell you, gotta look it up real fast. I'm one of those guys that don't know what I'm going to do until Friday. Honestly,
if it wasn't for my wife, sometimes I wouldn't even know what I'm doing then. So,
right. And that's the thing is, some people's always ask, so what you doing this weekend? I don't know.
Got to check the calendar or ask my wife. So you said your son's troop did. What ages were they when they started trooping with you? When you had that whole window of all three of you going, were they full-fledged members or Galactic Academy members?
Hunter started off in the Galactic Academy at like 17, and then he trooped when he turned 18, and then pretty much retired when he was 19, 20. But he went off to school and did other stuff. So there's that. My oldest started with the Mandalorian Mercs.
Okay.
And then got a costume with them, and then we brought him on to the 501st with his first costume being a Shadow Trooper.
Nice.
And so he did that. Let's see. We do have a plane pull coming up for all the hospitals. And in the Indianapolis area, they have a big fundraiser with a plane pull that, there's a lot of money. That's coming up next month.
Now, is Vader allowed to pull it with the Force?
Yes, that's usually what we do. So whoever's the Vader usually just sits there and just.
Oh, okay.
While everybody else actually does the grunt work.
That's
normally I do the grunt work because there's more tenured members that have Vaders here, and I usually always let them have the first choice of the primo events. And then if they don't, then I'll step in as a Vader. But usually I let the tenured members have the first opportunity at the Vaders and the big marquee type events like that.
Spoken like a true Trooper of the Month. No, I mean, I appreciate, and I think most members appreciate that, just how much you put into this. And we all know, you work, everyone works long hours. Everyone has all the same issues. And I want to say thank you again from the 501st cast. And any of my friend troopers would just agree that it's awesome. All the things you do for, the kids and your troop. You're an XO, which I know just being in the command staff can be the even thankless time consuming sometimes. So
right.
We all appreciate that.
Yes, but you're saying this. I'm not the only one. You're also a trooper, and I appreciate what you do because you do the same things that I do. We all do the same things. That's the reason why we're here.
Yep.
So it's not just me. I appreciate you thanking me, but I got to thank everybody watching this. I got to thank you for doing this as well, because without all of us, one person going to an event like this kind of seems creepy. But with all of us going to events like this, it's magic.
Right. Well, again, I appreciate it, and I thank you for that. I think that's a well-spoken point. But it is nice that people can get recognized, and I am sure, just like you said, there's tons of people that need recognized. But you're the one we're recognizing now, and we appreciate it. And we hope to hear more from Bloodfin Garrison. Maybe we'll get some more mission reports to put on the 501st cast, or any shout outs in your costumes. But thanks again, Trooper of the Month, TK 62000 of Bloodfin Garrison.
Yeah, congrats, Scott.
Yeah, I think we all echo that. So first honorary member is Tatul Benodat, the Latin voice actor of Harrison Dola in Rebels, Bad Batch, and Ahsoka. Was inducted by Johnny Burgos, CT7479, and Victor Aban Heredi, SL7612 of the Mayan Garrison during Nico Fest on February 28th, 2026 in Merida, Yucatan, Mexico. Tatul was surprised and truly honored to receive the recognition, and told the story of how she met her husband, member of our sister club, the Rebel Legion, during an award ceremony. So I guess the Force was with them on that one. Next up, there was also David Kay, the voice actor of General Tandon in season 5 of the Clone Wars, and also provided many character voices in the Old Republic game, along with 2 of its expansions. Was inducted by Rebecca Pride, TI 37370 of North Texas Squad of Star Garrison during Rebel ScumCon in Frisco, Texas on March 7th, 2026. And that is just a great name for a con, by the way. David was thrilled to be inducted, loved his plaque, and was delighted to receive his very own member badge. So now on to Nitro for the topic of the day.
So we had the question from the last show, which unfortunately we didn't get any write-in answers for, or voicemails or whatnot. But we're going to spend a little roundtable here to answer this question for you guys, and maybe there'll be some insight or some encouragement of people writing in and give us some answers, to help answer our next question, which will be at the end of the podcast. The question from last podcast was, what was the most difficult part of your first build that almost made you quit? And I'm going to go in seniority order here. I'm pretty sure I'm solid on this. But Mike, what was the most difficult part of your first build that almost made you quit?
Velcro. Like so I am way old, so the TK kit came with Velcro.
Were you saying you were created before Velcro? Is that
No, I'm not quite that old. I'm not quite that old.
I mean,
I don't know when was Velcro invented? Someone do a quick search.
I'm sure it was around the space program. Okay, like,
well,
I was just from NASA.
I was born before they were on the moon, so
1941.
Okay, good. I'm not that old. Okay, but so I didn't know anything. We didn't have the support, we had the internet, but we didn't have like the forums. I had Yahoo Cities, and I kept putting this Velcro on my TK kit. And honestly, I would put it on. By the time I walked over to my camera, like the butt would fall off. Like it wouldn't stick to I don't know if the plastic. So until I knew, someone said, well, you have to glue. You can't just use the adhesive. Because I was so petrified of messing the kit up. Like I was afraid the glue was going to melt the plastic, all of this stuff. So like the Velcro was extremely frustrating to me as a beginner in just building costumes. So yeah, that would be my biggest. I was almost foiled by Velcro.
Wow, I'm held together. I'm held together by Velcro.
the cheap adhesive that comes with standard Velcro. We all know about industrial strength Velcro and stuff like that too nowadays. So
I didn't know that.
But now, like I said, I think maybe because someone in the 501st complained and said this Velcro doesn't work, and they created the industrial strength Velcro. So yeah, that's cool. I'm glad that you got past that hurdle and that you became one of our 4-digit TKs, TK IDs. Yeah, so thanks for that, and thanks for sticking it out. Haha, pun intended.
Oh,
I did put it
wow.
backwards. I did put it on backwards the first time and ruined my first Under Armour because I put the pointy sides in, you know, or yeah, the whatever, and I messed up a lot of Under Armour. So
Okay. Next up, we'll go with we'll stay in the Mike realm. So, Mikey, what was the most difficult part of your first build, and that almost made you quit?
So for me, you know, I luckily there was a good community here in Louisville when I was building my first kit, which was a Biker Scout, which is still my favorite costume to wear. So it really wasn't anything super difficult other than as I got my armor and I started to make it and all the soft parts, I also had a 4-month-old child. And the joke was like, we'll see him in 2 years. And that's really what it came down to. Is like, it took me a long time to do it, not because of any frustration. I mean, like, I read the forums, I looked at everything, and you know, I won't say the vendor that I got my first Biker Scout from, but I mean, they had great instructions on how to put it together, the armor parts together, and all the soft parts. You know, my wife is a seamstress, so she helped me with like all the soft parts, so everything is custom sewn. And even like she's like, I put nice soft close Velcro here, like on your flight suit. I'm like, it's great, but I mean, it took, you know, we had a 4-month-old, so it's like no sleep, time off, like every little thing was that. So that's what almost made me quit. Like, I think parts of it sat in a box for 6 months without me even doing anything because it's no sleep, no nothing. And then like, oh, there's a build party on this weekend, I'm gonna take it out. Like, well, you're kind of almost done. Oh, okay. And then 4 months of nothing again. But yeah, I think that's probably the most difficult part is like life. I think you have to remember, like, these are passion projects. And I know one of the Garrison members I had, it took him 8 years to make his Vader. And he just slowly worked on it. So it's definitely things like, I think the most difficult part is like finding the time to do it between everything else that's going on in your life.
Yep. I mean, I'll go next since I'm coming around the room here, right? I was, for the longest time, I was known for the forever spotter, right? We call them spotters here in New Jersey. Some places call them squires and whatnot. Write in, tell us what you call them locally. So I was, everyone was like, we kind of don't want you to become approved because you take such great photos and whatnot. So it was like in that situation, right? Literally, like, it took me a couple of years to sign up because I wanted to get it done. And then, like, literally within a day, I managed to put a costume together and I got approved. But the most difficult thing for me was in my very first costume was I wanted to do back then it was called a Magma Trooper. Now it's called a Crimson Trooper over at Spec Ops. Because there's a lot of red things here in New Jersey. And I wanted to be a red type of trooper. So I gravitated towards the Magma Trooper, now Crimson Trooper. And the makers of that armor didn't size it for someone my size. So I had to do a lot of shimming and whatnot, and that was just so discouraging to me, where it got to the point where I didn't want to paint the armor because the red ABS was the proper color. So I knew that if there was some kind of shimming that I couldn't hide without painting, and just one thing, comedy of errors ended up happening, but it literally almost led to me to not joining because I couldn't get that sized properly to me. And that ended up not being my first costume anyway. And it's still in a bin, unbuilt. And being a dad, you know, there was a lot of sympathy weight gained that I never burned off and whatnot. So now I'm completely different, and I could probably go back to it, but because some things were done to it, it was kind of ruined. I'm kind of thinking about just turning it into like a Santa Trooper or something like that at this point. But yeah, that's kind of the thing that almost made me quit, was not understanding that TKs specifically, or many costumes, I should say, hard armor costumes, there need to be specific vendors you should go to get the properly sized for your body type. So a lot of people forget that. So do your homework, make sure the costume fits you, because that's one of the tenets of our GMLs. Make sure the costume looks good on you. Just because it was approved with somebody else doesn't mean it's going to work. And I'll keep it moving, right? So next up is Matt. What was the most difficult part of your first build that almost made you quit?
Well, I just guess I'm just awesome because it was really easy for me. So, AP, your turn. No, nothing really made me want to quit. Although mine was the Biker Scout, like Mikey's. I outsourced my soft parts because I can't sew. But the most difficult part was hand sewing the Velcro. And that's why whenever I made my TK for the next costume, I went away from Velcro for all of that, and I did snaps for everything because I didn't want to sew anymore. The most intimidating part was the boots. Putting that stuff together. And I got a lot of great tutorials that were on the Pathfinder Detachment forum. So anyone who's going to be a Biker Scout or anything with the Pathfinders, go look there because there are some great tutorials that I'll put a plug in for Panda Trooper. That's the one I used for most of mine. I didn't do everything exactly the way he did it, but it gave me ideas of, oh, hey, I don't like doing that because it seems like a lot of work. Now this way it looks a little bit easier, but I was able to go off of that. But the one thing I found out with the boots were the parts that I was most worried about. So the very bottom where the vinyl goes over the boot and the under part, I couldn't get it to lay flat. And I realized, oh wait, there's a nice little extra part that covers that. I don't need to worry about it. And so it just worked out a whole lot nicer than I was worried about things that I didn't need to be worried about.
Okay.
The other thing that was a little bit tricky was the shoulders of how to get the connector between the front and back, and then also having the connector come out for the shoulder bells. So I made this somewhat elaborate T-shaped thing with a lot of poking myself with needles as I was trying to hand sew it. But it worked out.
You're sewing your own shoulder?
No, it was poking my fingers as I was trying to poke it through at weird angles.
Permanently attached.
It's not a real costume unless you put some blood, sweat, and tears into it. So maybe a little bit more blood for Matt than anybody else.
Yeah, got all three.
I will say Scout boots are some of my favorite things to make. I mean, I've actually made a pair right before Trooper Fest because they were 6 years old and falling apart. But I mean, I just remember stretching them and all the push pins and stabbing your fingers way too many times. But just like you said, definitely, I recommend checking out the Pathfinder forums if you're thinking about it. There's so many tutorials there, and it's one of the coolest things that you can just go buy a $20 pair of boots, put some nice insoles in there, and then you literally make the boots yourself with some vinyl. So I will say I love that about the Biker Scout.
Yeah, mine are a pair of hiking boots that didn't cost too much, but talk about comfort. I mean, it's hiking boots you're wearing. A lot nicer than some of the other costumes.
True. All right, rounding us out, AP. What was the most difficult part of your first build and that almost made you quit?
I think there were two things. So my first costume and my only costume at the moment still is Vader, Return of the Jedi Vader, and I did it specifically for Star Wars Celebration 2017. So I bought my tickets to Celebration. I wanted to cosplay and I wanted to do it right. And I was like, you know what? The way to do it right is I'm going to meet these 501st people. I was aware of them. And so I joined the forums months before, probably 8 months before Celebration 17, and started the process with the SLD. And I think, so the first thing was getting all of the pieces sourced and even making some of the pieces. I'm very much a do-it-yourself type of person in almost everything. And so the fact that I couldn't put on a costume by myself at that time, I found I was like, what? This is so complicated. Why is this so complicated to put on a costume? Like I'd have my wife kind of like help get me into situation. I've now figured that out. So the complexity of trying to put it on was a challenge for me. And then the other part was really at the home stretch and doing the submission for approval. So throughout the process, I had been very tight with the SLD and my mentors in the SLD when it came to sourcing and kind of tracking my build and getting feedback. I was not very close with my Garrison or my GML in particular. And so when I came to submit, I had no idea who my GML was. It was just this mystery person that I sent pictures to. And that person had a ton of feedback. Not a ton of feedback, but expensive feedback, which led me to having to get new capes for my Vader, which was at that point, and that much money spent and that much time spent, I was just almost threw my hands up in the air, but I bit the bullet and I was like, okay, let me march on, get this situated, and got through it. So so my advice for people coming into the Legion is get to know your GML and become best friends with that person, and make sure that they're comfortable with what you're doing too, not just the people in your detachments.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you, Anthony. And thank you, everyone. Thanks for telling us about all those difficult times. And you at home listening on your car ride or your commute, feel free to write in. Tell us about some of your hurdles that you faced. And if anything got you close to making you wanting to quit, but chugged right through.
Just don't do it while you're driving your car.
Yes. Don't do that. Don't text and drive, folks. All right. Thanks again, gents. And I'm going to hand this off to Mikey to introduce our next segment.
Yes. So we have a new segment, everyone. I'm super excited. We have our first voicemail from Anthony TK2066, and he wants to hear our thoughts on a very important question. So here we go.
Howdy, brothers of the 501st Cast. This is Anthony, TK2066, serving in Starkiller Garrison. I do hear and see in places somewhere around the HoloNet that the word cosplay does get used quite a bit. And I know, having been a member of the 501st for a very long time, that we call ourselves costumers. So I'd like to ask my brothers in armor, what, from each of your opinions, thoughts, is the difference between costuming and cosplaying? Curious to hear and looking forward to hearing your answers on the next episode. Until then, glory to the Empire.
All right. So it's actually really great that you mentioned cosplaying earlier, AP. So coming from Anthony, TK2066, we'll do the same thing. We'll kind of go around and see what your thoughts are. The difference between cosplaying and costumer, especially when it relates to the Legion. And we'll start with you, Mike, again.
Yeah, I get asked this a lot because my daughters do it with me, and their friends all call it cosplay. And so, like, I've used it interchangeably, I guess, with most people. I think before my daughter's friends used it a lot, I always thought of cosplay as you really took like the role and you were that person the entire time. And I don't know, my definition has changed because if I was really cosplaying a stormtrooper, I probably wouldn't be invited to most events. And I'm sure Darth Vader wouldn't be invited. So, but usually for the sake of not sounding like a super nerd, I usually use them interchangeable, if that makes it. That sounds like a cop out, but I think that's just what it's evolved in my head.
I can see that. What about you, Chris? Nitro?
I think I'm on the same lines of thought here with Mike. It depends on your definition of the two, right? Or is there a specific definition for the two terms? I think in our opener we call ourselves costumers or costuming organization, right? The cosplay is you're kind of taking on that persona, right? You want to be the bad guy, right? And so in specific situations, I think we are all cosplayers, right? We tried to be in universe, right? We tried to play the role a little bit, but I think we're all humans and we kind of like understand we're interacting with the public. So, sometimes we're doing a little dance as a stormtrooper. That's not canon. We don't see that anywhere in any of the films, right? So we could be serious when Darth Vader's around, but once he turns his back, we'll do a little hula or something. We can kind of yuck it up for all of us. I think most of us are toe the line of both of those things. We know when to be cosplayers, but we costume in that we this is what we do. We suit up in our armor and soft parts and whatnot, and we become those characters, in costume. So are we cosplayers? I would say 100%. You know, but to the strictest degree of cosplaying, like, you know, we're not doing evil things like Darth Vader and or Anakin does to younglings and stuff like that. But
I hope not.
Speak for yourself.
I mean,
Nitro.
AP disagrees there. Matt, what is your thoughts?
So looking up the AI definition, I'm not sure where they're pulling this from, but cosplay involves dressing as a specific character, usually from anime, games, or film, and actively portraying them, often emphasizing high quality craftsmanship, community, and performance. And then it didn't really give a definition for costumer. It defaulted to just costume. But I saw a comment on a Reddit thread that's right below that says that all cosplays are costumes. So cosplayers would be costumers, but not all costumers are cosplayers. And I think there's a lot of truth to that. And I'm going to echo what was said before, that with the cosplay, you really get into that character. We don't always do that. At least for me, did I portray more of a comedic version of a biker scout that a lot of people will, you know, or whenever dresses as Sandy, or even officer, whatever, that it's, oh, stormtroopers can't shoot straight. Or, I'll play along with that. That a normal stormtrooper would then take offense to something like that. But whenever I do, it's like, biker scouts, you're tree huggers. Or if they say, you can't shoot straight, it's like, hey, I'm a biker scout. I'm not a stormtrooper. We have great accuracy. We hit trees all the time. Come on. So I'll throw a little more of a comedic thing there. So we're more just doing the costuming part than a full cosplay, that we don't really get into the portrayal of what the actual characters would do.
Okay. And AP.
Yeah, I mean, I think, yeah. So I didn't do the AI definition. I went to the Merriam-Webster, and so a costumer is someone who makes costumes, and a cosplayer is what you just said it was. So I think as people, so I didn't make my Vader costume necessarily. I made the chest boxes and the belt boxes, but other people were the costumers for that. I would never consider myself, even in my non-Star Wars costumes, I don't even consider myself a costumer, and I've made most of my costumes. I consider myself a cosplayer, whether it's Robot Man or the Joker or Undertaker or any other things, or Vader. I cosplay as that character. Yes, I'm not killing people. I might want to kill people sometimes. But, I feel like, as we all do, I think, as soon as we put the helmets on, the buckets on, we embody that character and we portray them appropriately for the audiences that we're in front of. So I consider myself a cosplayer, not a costumer, a cosplayer who happens to make some costumes.
See, I'm going to say I don't agree with you at all, AP. I think you're a costumer. I'm going to tell you why. So
all right.
I put the video together that Anthony put in, so I've had time to think about this. It's not as much off the cuff that I've kind of put for you guys, and I've already had a conversation with my wife, who's also a member of the Legion, about this. And so, here's the thing: is I think for the 501st, because we have a CRL, every single member is a costumer. Because while you may have purchased parts for your Vader or for your Biker Scout or your, TK or whatever, you still had to put that together to fit you to meet that CRL. Mm-hmm. Like you said earlier, Nitro, like the costume has to fit you, like it has to be you. So you're a costumer. Whereas cosplay is you are playing that character, you're wearing that costume, and you can literally buy it. I mean, there's a lot of cosplayers, just think of all the Spider-Mans that show up at the different conventions. They literally just buy the costume, put it on, and they're wearing it. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I'll never say, like, I love that people get into these costumes, but I definitely understand why the 501st says they're costumers. Even if you buy almost every single part, you still have to, in the end, put that together to fit you. So you're the costumer. And there's also people like my wife, who I would call a costumer. Like, she sewed my undersuit for my Biker Scout, and she did my Imperial officer. And, so she likes to do the costuming part where she doesn't prefer to wear it. I mean, she'll dress up and handle as an officer or something like that, but she prefers the costuming part of it. And so I see the costumer there, whereas cosplay is like we've talked about, it's like someone embodying that character, having fun with it. So I definitely think there's a difference between cosplay and cosplayers. And I think if you're in the Legion, you're a costumer, but doesn't mean you can't be a cosplayer as well. So I definitely think if you're a Legion member, you're definitely a costumer because of that. So any other thoughts on costumer versus cosplay, guys?
I think we're going to agree to disagree now.
Well,
No, look, you
Nothing
make
wrong
a
with
good
that.
point. Yeah,
Yeah.
if you're assembling a costume, sure, you're a costumer. I just personally have never thought of myself as a costumer in the years that I've been doing it. I've always considered myself a cosplayer. That word has just never been kind of part of my vernacular until this moment in time. So yeah. And again, I have a whole YouTube video channel about making things too. So just never connected with me. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on to some mission reports.
Mission reports.
All right, let's open up the Hollow News Net and take a look at what our troopers have been up to across the galaxy. From local troops to global missions, this is where we highlight the moments that make the 501st what it is. Service, smiles, and a whole lot of armor, and plastic, and ABS, and cosplay and costuming. Let's dive and Velcro. Let's dive into the mission reports. All right, from Josh Maruka, TK48084 of the Starkiller Garrison, they did a birthday party on March 13th, 2026. Now, as you know, we don't usually attend birthday parties, but this one was different. It was a joint celebration for a 38-year-old dad and his 5-year-old son, held at a hospice facility and likely his last. 3 members of Starkiller Garrison brought some much-needed joy, posing for photos and sharing small gifts, from trading cards to a glow-in-the-dark Imperial cog chain. After the party, the team visited other patients, many not even Star Wars fans, but the smiles said it all. For a little while, the room felt lighter, and that's what it's all about. So thank you, Josh, for submitting that, and thank you to the team at the Starkiller Garrison for making that happen for this dad and his son. All right, Matt, why don't you take us through our next mission report?
Before we do that, just a bit of clarification. It was likely the dad's last, not the kids. He was ill. I talked to Josh about this. So the kid's doing fine.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next one was from Dave Ron, ID 42061 of Garrison, Carida. He's written in before. This was the West Virginia Special Olympics basketball tournament held on March 14th to 15th of 2026. So Garrison Carida kept up their annual tradition of attending the West Virginia Special Olympics basketball tournament at WVU in Morgantown on Saturday, March 14th and Sunday, March 15th. The overall energy was through the roof, with athletes excited about the competition, seeing friends on other teams, and traveling to a different city. The tournament is broken into a few parts. There's the basketball tournament, there's a skills competition, and a cheerleading competition. Saturday, there were 6 troopers and a handler for the tournament, the cheerleading and skills competition. And then on Sunday, there were another 4 troopers who joined in for the championship games. So it was pretty much 3 great troops over 2 days. And if you ever get a chance to do anything with the Special Olympics or special needs individuals, I highly, highly recommend it. These are so fulfilling, and one of the reasons why I joined personally. So, but AP, on to the next one.
No, I love that. That's a good PSA, Matt. Thank you for sharing that. So this next one is from Todd King, TK61061, and Luke Tarsi, CC45774 of the Starkiller Garrison again. This is from a World Down Syndrome Day dance party on March 20th. Now, this is one of those events that really reminds us all of exactly why we joined the 501st and exactly what you just said, Matt. So the Starkiller Garrison spent the night surrounded by incredible people sharing high fives, fist bumps, and plenty of smiles, with a few gifts sticking by their side all evening. They even hit the dance floor, and yes, there's video proof. I don't know if we have that video, but I'm sure we can find it in the forums. It may have been a little toasty, but it was an unforgettable night. And if you haven't done an event like this, you are missing out. Also in attendance, there were several Disney princesses, Glinda and Elphaba, and let's just say a few troopers couldn't resist a photo op. All right, Nitro, for our last mission report, take us away.
Last month, troopers from the Maya Garrison were deployed to, and I'm going to butcher this, so I apologize to all our Spanish-speaking troopers. They were deployed to Parque Acuático Campeche, a water park on the boardwalk of the city of Campeche, Mexico, to participate in a charity fair for young Iker, who needs a bone marrow transplant. The Mayan Garrison's presence on the boardwalk was a resounding success, reaffirming our commitment to causes that positively impact their region. Likewise, the public's response was exceptional, with everyone joining in this worthy cause. Big thank you to Felix Herrera, TI 7565, for that report.
Well, I don't think we give anyone the upcoming events, so I'll just jump in here. Next month we're getting less than a year away from Star Wars Celebration, so that would be some upcoming events when this episode comes out to start checking out, getting your plans, the Legion board for forums and everything of where you're going to stay, how you're going to get your armor there. Do you guys have plans for your armor to get it out to the West Coast yet?
I've flown with my scout a couple times, and I will probably also take an officer as well. But you figure out how to pack it. I also have this nice little message I put to TSA about like unpacking, and I put trading cards there for them to take it too. So and every time. Idea. Yeah, every time they have taken trading cards, so I'm like, okay. But yeah, so I'm like, my armor's made it to Florida. It's also made it to, it actually made it to Anaheim. It made it to Anaheim for one of the last celebrations. So it's made it places. So, but yeah, I put a little Mr. TSA person. Please be careful. This is my armor, and I put like pictures of like my build from a long time ago. And please be careful. If you want to unpack it, you can, but just pack it gently. Take some trading cards, and usually they just kind of take the trading cards, and I don't see anything moved around. So. Maybe just a thought.
For the record, I don't think the TSA takes anything out of any of our suitcases. I think we misplaced all those trading cards. Okay, they might have just fallen out of your bin.
No. Like I tape them to the paper
workers
there, and they're literally removed.
Do not
literally
do
removed.
any of that. Okay.
I tell them to take it. They have taken.
Disclaimer: I do not work for the TSA.
Mikey's not picking up what you're dropping, Nitro. Play along. I'm hoping to have my Scout Trooper done by. It better be done by Celebration next year. So I will be in your boat as well in terms of getting. I can't ship Vader across the country. That would give me way too much anxiety. So yeah. Scout Trooper, it is.
That's why I got my officers. They're like easier to take.
You can probably wear that on the plane. Break.
I look dapper on there, definitely.
This is BH71689 representing the Northeast Remnant Garrison. You are listening to the 501st Cast.
Well, everyone, we're at the dedication part of the show, so this is dedicated to our Eternal Legionnaires. So. We have 3 Karen Peck TX25087 from the Redback Garrison. We have Tristan Greco TK1871 from the French Garrison, and Stephen Hurd TK6659 from the UK Garrison. So if you want to check those out, there were some really good memorials written on the 500 forum. The forums under the member memorial. So check that out. Buckets off to all these troopers and their families and friends. We solemnly enter their names in the Hall of Legionnaires, and we offer a moment of silence.
All right, folks. Next episode, we want to hear from you. Send us ideas for topics that you want to hear about, interview suggestions, or even just your well wishes. For now, help us kick off our next episode. Email, call, or message us answering the following question. How did you explain your new hobby to your non-Star Wars friends or family? That was interesting. That's a sneak peek into next episode. How to reach us. Write to us at podcast@501stcast.com. Use country code +1 to leave us a voicemail at 1-551-501-TALK. That's 1-551-501-8255. You can leave us a message on Facebook. Search for the 501st Cast on Facebook to find our page. And all of these can be found on our home on the web at 501stcast.com.
And we have two shout outs this week. Just one for TK 2066. Thanks for the bumpers and our first phone call message. So just like was said earlier, you can call us and leave messages. So a big shout out to him and to the Mine Garrison for sending in a report about all their adventures and troops. So please, thank you to all those, and please give us a call or reach out.
And now for our legal disclaimer here. The 501st Legion is a worldwide Star Wars costuming organization comprised of and operated by Star Wars fans. While it is not sponsored by Lucasfilm Limited, it follows generally accepted ground rules for Star Wars fan groups. Star Wars, its characters, costumes, and all associated items are the intellectual property of Lucasfilm. Copyright and trademark Lucasfilm Limited, all rights reserved, used under authorization, and as always, please don't sue us.
Please. Pretty please.
Since he said please, right? That means
nice.
it's the end of this episode.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. May the force be with you.